Hey, what's up, guys? How are you all doing? This may be the shortest stream in history because, man, I look like a mess. Because if you don't know, earlier today, among a lot of other things, StreamYard went down and it's kicked me out and it's not behaving already. So who knows what's going to happen? I promise nothing and I may deliver nothing. I don't know. Hard to say. Did not realize I look as disheveled as I feel. All right, that's great. Whatever. I did. Can you see the color? I tried to get it wiped off, but but yes, I did get my hair done. Had to get that gray covered up. No. Nope. What is on your picture now? You come up with the funniest profile pictures. But that's a no. No, no, no. 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 You. Oh my gosh, that fireball about I wasn't like hungover, but it seriously about unalived me and made me realize I am old and I cannot do that anymore. It's a ham sandwich. Oh, a ham sandwich. Hilarious. So no, Brandon, I'm not doing that. I have my granddaughter tomorrow and I thought I was going my stomach was not a happy person with me. You bought as much ham as you could get. Appropriate. Hilarious. What's up, Adair? How you doing? Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I feel like I got a helmet or something, which would be fitting for the hair that we're looking at. Yeah, Shenny. It was a last second decision. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I trust StreamYard. I still don't know that I trust StreamYard to keep going, but we'll see what happens. It's not working perfectly by any means. This excuse is getting old. Sorry. Whew. Yeah, I've been down been down that road. Me and Fireball, we used to be friends. We just are not friends anymore. It's not an excuse, Brandon. I am trying to not end up like Karen Reed in her condition. Her and I share some conditions, and I would prefer to stay away from the thing that she has that I don't have. So I know I'm being a little vague. I don't want it. I don't need some trooper writing about me. Oh, buzzball. I've not had a buzzball, and I don't know that I will. Hope you put your fireball in the freezer, Shenny, where it belongs, or in the pit of hell, where it also belongs. No means no. No, no, no. I have never. I don't know what I was watching. Maybe like I was watching On Patrol Live, maybe on TV, and they were in a place that had giant buzz. I didn't know they made giant buzz balls. All right, Shinny will drink with you. Let's go. It's yelling her name. Her fireball is in the freezer. Yelling her name. She already bagged it for regifting. And Gabby's already with you. No, we're not weak, but we might be a little smarter. This is going to drive me nuts because we don't want to feel like crap the next day. Hey, after 5, Gabby is 99.999% guaranteed. Doesn't seem like it. Well, whatever. How many days did I wake up under the kitchen table? Too many days I felt like I was thrown out of the window, maybe? I don't know. I had some rough days, and I am over those. I am over it. I just can't do it anymore. Hey, Tracy. Sorry. Is that the only way we can be friends, Brandon? How you doing, Tracy? But that's just not very nice. Huh. I might just cry now, Brandon. I'm all right. I would pay to see that. Oh my goodness. All right. So we got Betty still on the stand, still with yellow hair. None of them are my actual kids, are not in here. My son's name is also Brandon, but he's not here. When he comes in, he's holding up two, I think they're empty because he drank them, beer mugs, or they have beer in them and he's going to drink them. I don't remember. Was I a party girl in Nebraska? No, I was a little young to be a party girl in Nebraska. This is a tad young. I moved away from there when I was 12. Then I moved here and it was a whole new world. Hey, Bri, what's up? Bri was, there's going to be so many bees in this. Bri, the Brie that showed up last night, is she your friend, your coworker, whatever? Because I had to think um, before I responded to her because I didn't know that I thought my Brie might have been playing a joke on me. But I was like, wait, that's not her dog. All right, here's Betty. Looking as Betty does. She gets mad. Nope, you don't know her. She called you get fried Bri. Thought she was mine? No, but thought she was yours. Well, she was funny. I hope she comes back. Um, Betty reminds me of Vallow. Like Vallow would be the way um, Betty is on the stand every time that the prosecutor objects. She's like, "But I didn't answer it yet." It's like they don't want you to answer it, dummy. Uh-oh, someone was ghosted. No, no one was ghosted. Someone wants an Oklahoma teapot real bad. I don't know what that is. I am scared to ask. Yes. Yep, they are a lot alike, very arrogant. Nothing's their fault. I mean, let's face it. When when Betty's attorney was asking her last night and he said, "Was that when you were fat?" I'm about like, what? Did you just seriously ask her if that's when she was fat? Like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, ever. I don't care if she's 6,000 pounds. Don't ask her if she's fat. Okay, maybe that. She knows at that point. She knows anyway. Don't worry about it. How fat was she? I don't know. She wasn't. If you're saying she's fat now with her linebacker shoulder pads that she's got in, she's heavier now. But I mean, it's like She was thinner then. She had 4 freaking kids for crying out loud in, like, very short period of time. I don't know. I don't know. No, no. She was not she was not 2 or 3 bills. You'd have to ask me if that was when I was skinny. We all have those points in our life. All right, so this is part 2. I had a different thumbnail made, but StreamYard was in no mood to accept it, so I had to use the one from yesterday. Just change. This is part 2. There's 12 parts to Betty's testimony. I have no idea which one's longer. Hers, defense attorneys or direct, or the state's cross. My guess is going to be the state, but I don't know. But does her having kids have anything to do with her weight at that point in time? The scale doesn't lie. Yeah, I did, Jenny, and it just I don't it's the same template that I use all the time, and alls I did was go back to yesterday's, which I had tried to which I would that's what I was using, and it liked it. Nobody asked how fat she was or why she was fat. She said I don't remember what her answer was because it just shocked me that her attorney asked her that question. Like, no, nobody would ask anybody else that question today. They they wouldn't. They would be, like, escorted out of the courtroom or, tackled by somebody. I don't know who. We'll just pretend. That's true. Right? They would be scared that Betty would do that. I don't know how fat she was. That was the question. Yes, it will. And uh not only that, but women are we are kind of are made to carry a little bit of weight. Sorry. Sorry. Why don't I watch the Rittenhouse openings? This is I want to know how fat she was. I don't know how fat she was. Some women have a happy gene, and if they are happy, they will stay skinny and slim and real active. What's up, Haley Mouse? You might want to run. I don't know. But it was good to see you. She was so ah. Oh my gosh. She was so fat when she said around the house. She said around the house. Oh, she was so fat. She was always around. Oh, Jenny. All right, I'm pushing play on Betty. I believe I have her boosted, but everything is weird, so I don't know. And here we go. Dang it. Hey, Grandma. Sorry, Grandma. It's not, Grandma. It's not. It is not. Go away, Betty. Nobody asked you. What is the deal? I swear it's not muted because I can hear it. It's not muted on this end. I should have stayed in bed like all day. Called it good. All right, entertain yourselves for a minute. Talks amongst yourself, but don't talk about me because that would be rude. You can talk about all the fun things that have been happening in the world today when you don't have internet. Son of a... See, and this is happening too. I'll be right back. Maybe, if you're lucky. I'm back. If it doesn't work this time, I don't know what it is. All right. Go to sleep. Yes, hit the thumbs up. It's been a great stream so far. All right, if you see me get up and suddenly there is no more stream anymore, it's because I have launched my computer out of the window onto the ground and running it over repeatedly. What didn't break when it hit the ground. Okay. Yeah, it's not Friday the 13th, and guess who's not streaming tomorrow? This girl.
And you were in the home. Did any of the problems, as far as how you were feeling, security, insecure, did they get worse at all?
Yeah, gosh
Yeah,
dang it.
He wouldn't give me any answers about the money, wouldn't give me any answers about, I just gave him all the kids and I took off and said, here, you deal with this. I gave him the kids and went to New York, and I spoke to my parents about what was going on, and we looked at real estate back east.
Now, in what was the trip to New York, had that been pre-planned?
Yes.
And what was the occasion for that?
My father's 70th birthday.
And did you go back to New York?
Yes, by myself.
Your Honor, I would have double D appears to be the receipt from American Airlines 1985. Sorry. Did you recognize this, Mrs. Broderick?
Yes, it's a plane ticket with my name on it, American Airlines, San Diego to Kennedy Airport and back again.
And did you in fact go on that trip?
Yes, I did.
Now, was during that springtime of 1985, did you continue to look for homes? Or was it your understanding that you were looking for a family home, that everyone was going to move in, including Dan?
Right, because when we left Coral Reef, when we moved out of Coral Reef to go to the rental, the plan was that the insurance would refurbish Coral Reef perfectly and we'd sell it. And he told all the neighbors and he told the kids and he told me that we were never moving back to Coral Reef. We were just repairing it to sell it. And we were going to go from the rental to one of these new houses we were looking at. In fact, we had offers in on several and we have paperwork for all of them. Right up until the month before he left, we were putting offers in on
was going to be extended from the June date.
I first talked to the people who owned the house. When Dan first left, I called them in Denver and told them I had a problem and could I stay on in the house beyond yes, no problem. But then later I found out in writing from Dan that he had informed them in writing that we would be keeping to the original terms of the lease, which meant getting out in June.
Yeah. And that was June 1st?
I don't know if it was June 1st. It may have been June 15th.
Okay. And was he, at that time, did you ever ask him, I would like to be marked next in order. The lead appears to be a residential lead. Showing you what's marked EE for identification. Tell me. Showing you what's marked E for identification. Can you tell me what that is?
That's the lease on the La Jolla Shores house from September 16th to June 15th, 84-85 school year.
Okay, so you understood it was June 15th?
I didn't. Well, I've never seen this lease until much later. I never signed this lease, so Dan told me it was June 15th.
Okay. Now, what was Dan telling you about Linda and your marriage at that time?
At exactly which time?
Objection, Your Honor. Vegas to time and also confirmation.
Rephrase it. Okay. Was Dan telling you anything about Linda in around May, June of 1985?
Oh, yes. That she just simply worked for him, and she was an innocent young girl, and there was absolutely nothing going on. And there was no affair with her, and he was not even dating her, but he needed his space, and he was living at Coral Reef. And after I put the children there to go to my dad's party, when I came back, I left them there because I had to move out. Started packing boxes and moving out of the rental. And it was livable then, and the kids were home. It was our only home.
Okay. And what was he telling you about the marriage?
He wasn't telling me anything about the marriage. He just needed his space.
Okay, so he wasn't telling you the marriage was over?
No.
Okay.
No, we were still buying a house.
Did you?
Through all this time, we were always negotiating on and buying a house.
In fact, did you find a house and negotiate?
It wasn't that I found the house just then. It was the same property we had looked at before. It was still available. The price had gone down literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. We ended up buying a property that we had been looking at for a long time, yes, with only the intention of knocking the house that stood on it down and building the dream house that Dan wanted.
Okay. And was there a time that you were you remember when it was that that house was bought?
Right around when I had to get out of the rental, right in June of '85.
And during the time, were you seeing any anyone about constructing a new house there?
Yes, Dan had bought two separate lots in Fairbanks Ranch.
Objection.
First of all, you can answer the question yes, and let me give a chance now. Did you talk to somebody about the house?
Yes, Don Edson.
Okay, and why was it that you talked to Don Edson?
We've been having conversations with Don Itz over the past several years. Dan got into Fairbanks Ranch and purchased 2 lots without even telling me in, I believe, 1983. And he wanted to move to Fairbanks Ranch when there were no houses there. It was just dirt. And I wasn't real wild about that idea. One, I never saw my husband anyway, and here we were moving further away, and he was going to put a commute on either end of his day, and I didn't want to live further away. And 2, there was nothing out there for children. There was nothing out there in the neighborhood. There were no markets. It was just dirt.
Object not responsive. I think the question was with respect to Coyote Steel House.
Same. Okay. But was there, when the lots were bought, it was because of the Fairbanks Ranch lots that there was contact with Don Itz?
Conversations with Don Itz and about building a custom home, yes.
And now, it was sometime in June of 1985 that the property was transferred to Kelly DeCiao to you and Dan Broderick.
Yes, it was supposed to be a simultaneous closing with me having to get out of the rental, but there was dry rot in one of the bathrooms, and Dan argued with the owners about them making those repairs before we closed. So therefore, with the day I had to get out of the rental, or we all had to get out of the rental, we couldn't make a move into the other house. So everything ended up going back to Coral Reef,
And when you say everything, what are you talking about?
literally everything.
You mean furniture?
All of our
clothes?
worldly possessions, the cars, the surfboards, the tennis rackets, the clothes, the furniture, everything.
Okay. Showing you what's been marked FF for identification, if you could look at the recording date of the document, was that approximately the date that eventually the house was able to close, June 28th?
Yes, June 28th, 85.
And at this point in time, you were still, there were still conversations with Don Edson about tearing that house down and building a new one?
Yes, he was.
Don't throw me under the bus, you maid baker. Yeah, no way. And Pedaltown is correct. It would be photos of middle fingers. And it would be funny.
Happy that we found a lot that we could both agree upon, and he was going to start right away doing soils testing because we were knocking this house down completely and going to restructure the whole lot. And the first step was a soils engineer, and I had to get a $5,000 check from Dan to retain a soils engineer.
And was Dan involved in these discussions?
Yes, and he told me to go see Don Edson, and he told me to make the plans for this house. And it wasn't a house that you could remodel. The foundations were bad and stuff. It was a house you had to take away and start again.
And when you were talking about it, was he talking about it that you were going to live there yourself and live there as a family?
I was going to be, and this applied to Fairbanks Ranch too. I was going to be more or less the supervisor of building a large custom home. So far as the plans and the appointments, it's a full-time job, and Dan was too busy. So I was supposed to be the person that was going to be in charge of this project.
But who was going to move into the house? Were you going to move in yourself, or you and Dan?
Well, I moved in the beginning to give Dan his space, but once the house was torn down, I would have had to move back to Coral Reef.
Okay.
And that's
so,
why there was no furniture and everything. This house was getting torn down.
So the plan was not to be separate property. The plan was going to be that eventually both you and Dan were going to be moving in here.
We never mentioned anything about separate property. We bought it in both of our names for the family, but we bought the lot, not the house.
Okay. And showing you what has been marked GG for identification, a letter with Mr. Edson. Was that part of the discussions you had in tearing the house down?
Yes.
At any time during the period of time between when you were out of the rental and in the house on Kelly DeCiao, did you ever stay at Coral Reef?
Yes, I did.
And did you remain in contact with the children at the Coral Reef home?
Yes, but now it's the end of June. So right around exactly the time that the new house closed and I could start this project, the children were sent out of town to camps.
And did you know that they were going to be going out of town?
I didn't really know ahead of time. I wasn't consulted or I wasn't part of the plans for it, but they were attending a camp called Gold Arrow, which is a really good camp, and they had been before. So I wasn't at all afraid or anxious that they weren't being sent to a good place. I was just kind of surprised that, I finally got in this house and now I'd never been in San Diego without any of my children before. So
Now, when you did visit with your children over at Coral Reef, well, what was Cali de Cielo like when you first purchased it? What condition was it in?
It was a mess. There had been several generations and lots of numbers of people living in there, and they tried to market it as an 8-bedroom house. And what it really was is they made the garage into 3 bedrooms, although it was still a garage. They just called it 3 bedrooms, and then they put curtains down the middle of one room and called it 2 bedrooms and added a bath. So they thought it was an 8-bedroom house, but what it really was a 3-bedroom house, 3 real bedrooms, and a bunch of choppy up other messy stuff. And there were holes in the floors. Every single door had been kicked through and cracked and broken. There were no kitchen appliances, or the few that were there were so rusty and disgusting they had to be getting rid of. It was a leaking roof, and there was terrible termite and roof rat damage. It was a mess, and the landscaping was a mess inside and out. It was a perfect house to do what we wanted to do.
Had you at the time that you bought it, did you buy it with plans to remodel that home?
Objection as to
Okay. Now, at that period of time, when we get to June or July of 1985, did you at that point in time have some idea of what kind of money your family might have or you might have?
No, there were no discussions of money at all. There were no discussions about breaking up. We weren't discussing that. So there were no discussions about monthly money or anything. Dan was just paying all the bills.
So at that point in time, you weren't getting letters that indicated you were getting some kind of so much a month?
I don't think so. I don't think that started until October.
So up until that time, it was you were using credit cards and those bills were being paid with no discussion?
Actually, I wasn't spending anything. I had $1 million closed. I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't spending anything.
Okay. Now, when you moved into Cali de Cielo, did you have furniture when you moved in?
No, none. It all went to Coral Reef the day we moved out of the rental.
Okay. And was that the furniture that the family was using?
We only had one set of furniture, yes.
Okay. And did you, how were you living at Cali de Cielo?
I was temporarily camping on the floor, and I hadn't moved any furniture in or anything because I was still believing that this house was being torn down. And I was giving Dan his space, and the soils engineer was supposed to arrive and start doing his thing, and then that fell through because of the $5,000.
Now, during the time that, did you go over and when the children were at Coral Reef, were you visiting them on a daily basis?
Sure, every single day. I was still their mom, and so I was the one who did everything with them.
And at that point in time, did Dan have some maids or housekeepers that were living at the house taking care of your children?
Yes, there was a long string of maids or housekeepers. I can't remember all their names. I think the first one was a girl with real curly hair, brown hair, but I don't remember her name.
Okay. And during that time, did you have some things that happened to your personal possessions that were at the Coral Reef home that bothered you?
That was the next babysitter. That was Marta, who ended up wearing my clothes and stuff. She had asked me, and this is the next babysitter. We had problems with the first one too, of a different nature. But the next babysitter kept asking me if she could have all the stuff that was in the garage. And all the stuff that was in the garage was not excess stuff. It was all of my personal things because I'm only living at this other house on the carpet. I don't have anything. I have a suitcase. So she's talking about all my clothes and furniture. And I told her really nicely that that's not garage sale and it's not being thrown away. So she gave up on asking me and asked Dan if she could have stuff in the garage. And he gave her my brass bed and a sofa. And one day when I came to the house, she was wearing my clothes. She answered the door in my clothes.
Were you upset?
I just said, where did you get those clothes? And she said, well, they said I could have anything I wanted. Yeah, I was upset.
Did anything happen with your furniture?
That was the furniture that he gave. She'd removed it from the house and took it wherever she was living. Gave away the furniture. And I told this woman at least 3 times that she couldn't have it.
Did you get upset about that?
Absolutely. And she ended up bringing the bed back. I don't remember if she brought the sofa back or not, but yes. And Kim more or less went along with this and said the woman could have anything she wanted. So I told Kim, no, babysitters cannot have my stuff. Do not be giving things away.
Okay, now how are you feeling at this juncture was about what was going on?
Objection, Your Honor.
No. This might be a good time to take the afternoon recess, Mr. Appropriate time to break.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our afternoon recess at this time. We'll be in recess until 5 minutes after 3. Please remember the admonition.
In the summer of 1985, what happened to the plans for the house that you had bought? Soils report and the other things on Cali de Cieux.
When Dan was supposed to write the $5,000 check for the soils engineer, he said that we should put it off.
Her, she's not broke, for number one. She's getting $16,000 a month this trial happened in 1991. I think they're divorced. She unalived Dan and Linda in 1989. She was getting $16,000 a month in spousal support, plus, I believe, child support. Her rat-infested hellhole was a nice house, but it did have rats. I guess Shenny knows. They're like special California rats or something. I don't know. And the babysitters were not hers. They were Dan, and they were Dan's housekeepers and nannies for the kids that she allegedly took back to Dan's house and said, like, here, you take them. They were a mess. All of them were a mess. I do not know if they are dog-sized rats. No. I don't think of one witness. Has he asked the relevant question yet? Yes, Paisley was a thing, unfortunately. I don't know if that was the 8-room house. Sorry, I've had trying to stabilize everything on this end here, and it's not great. I can't, I've seen what you guys are saying, but I'm trying to make sure everything doesn't go crazy. Kind of trying. Houses in that area she lived in are known to all have ivy, and with ivy you have rat problems, and they eat houses, unlike mice I have at the ranch from the field. I'll take a field mouse any day over a rat. Reading and talking is hard. It's okay. Well, I was doing a little more than that, but it's okay. And it is. You should hear me sometimes. Yeah, Shani, I think we talked about this, and I don't think they're the same, because when my mom and dad lived out there, they did not live in San Diego area. They lived in Orange County, and my mom would tell me she had tree rats. I'm like, what the heck's a tree rat? I thought she meant a squirrel, but no, they were whatever those tree rat things are, and they would come in and look at, she's like, they were looking at her in her return air vents. Gross. Why is Blanche from Golden Girls the court reporter? Because Dorothy is her other defense attorney. And Puddletown likes church lady court reporter, so be careful. He might fight you. Yes. See, the sweet church lady. She's a saint and a cutie. And she had and she loves the color purple, apparently. Her outfit is wild. And she had jack-o'-lantern earrings on the other day and socks with bats on them because it was Halloween. You had water rats. Well, she's a church lady. What else is she supposed to have? She can't have nice ones. Can't be showing those ankles. They were not smiley face earrings. They were jack-o'-lanterns. Her and the mannequins are the only good part of this trial. True. That's what Tracy said. Roof rat. FML. What are we FMLing? Tree rat, Acadia rat. They look like little mice, but they're known as rats. I don't know, but when my mom said they were like watching her through the vents, and my dad told her that's not happening, and then the exterminator told my dad that's exactly what's happening. Like, this was also before we. What? FML. Rats in Boston. Oh, you must not be able to type. Sorry. We'll get on the train and get off the next stop. YouTube wouldn't let you say that. Yes, Haley, only you. You are a cute mouse. Gabby, I thought you were saying you were getting on, like you were coming on. Like, okay. Sewer rats? Sewer rats. No. No. Baker, are you feeling as bad as expert from your guys' adventure? Giggity. I can't say giggity, giggity, giggity like Val does. Good for your mom. Now, I should tell you when we're done here. You get to go to the ranch and pick up all your sticky traps. Yeah, I can't do glue traps. I know they work better, but I just can't because it doesn't. I don't want to hear them. You fell asleep at 5 a.m. and then you got up and did your stream. That's insane. You're going to have to get that turned around this weekend. Did you get pregnant again, Baker? You don't have to answer that. That's a very personal question. All right, back to Betty. He had Val Alice kid last year. Yes, no days off when you work for Jamie. Hey, I can send you a Nebraska Cornhusker shirt. She'll give you the day off if you wear that. She won't want to see you. But it might be kind of small for you because it'll be one I have. You got a Nebraska hat? Well, put it on. She'll tell you, get out. Is it a goat that baked goods? Oh, haha, I just got it. All right. Jamie's funny, and her laugh is the best. Where did this trial take place? In San Diego, California, little one. You need an Ohio shirt? Well, don't wear it on my stream. Just kidding. Kinda. It'll be all right. I'll let you. I don't hold grudges that bad. The deepest parts of hell. That's where a fireball lives, Gabby. Yep, right in old Sonny's backyard.
For just a little while till September, because he was having a cash crunch because of the down payment for this house, which was, I guess, a lot of money.
Okay, did you put maximum down, minimum down on that house?
I don't know. I expect the minimum.
The, and,
And so everything was on hold till September.
okay. And during the time, now your children were out of town, is that correct?
They were sent, yes,
And the
end of
plan,
June,
and the plans on the house were on hold.
just until September, right? So we had the summer there, and I was giving Dan his space.
And how are you feeling generally?
Well, I'd read all these books on midlife crisis and stuff, and they were saying, you know, it was a second adolescence, and the worst thing that I could have done as a wife is become like a nagging mother and say, you got to do this and you got to do that. So I was giving him the space and not making any demands on him, just giving him the space. But I was really disoriented. I didn't have a home. I was on the floor of the empty house. The kids were gone, so I wasn't visiting them and engineering their lives. And I wasn't hanging out with Dan and being his wife. So I took a trip. I left town.
And where'd you go?
I went up to Banff, Jasper and Lake Louise, Victoria, Seattle, up in that area on a organized tour because I didn't want to do it alone.
Now, at some point in time, after you came back from Canada, was there, were you still discussing with Dan what his plans were for the future?
I was still expecting to get the $5,000 to do the soils engineer in September, like he said. So the kids came back and school started again, and I started seeing them every single day and speaking to them every single day. And we were supposed to go ahead with this house.
How about the future of how much space he was going to need and where you were going from there? Were there discussions about that and about Linda at all?
The discussions about Linda were more or less like the time that the cake was on the counter. That turned into a discussion about Linda. But I wasn't really having discussions with him about anything because he didn't like to be questioned and he didn't like to be cornered and he didn't like, you know, I didn't want me to make any demands on him. He hated to be cornered.
And how had it been? Were you used to letting him make the decisions, or was that something that you were comfortable that you should be making the decisions?
No, I'd never made any of the decisions. And at this point, I didn't feel I had the power to make any decisions. I wasn't going to him with a list of I want this and I want that and do this. I simply went to him with, Dan, what's happening here? What are we doing here? You know, you be in charge. You tell me what's happening. What's the plan? What are we doing here? And he wouldn't do that because he just wouldn't.
Was there a at some point in time, did Dan talk to you about going to counseling?
Yes, there was one day we went to a Dr. Zedimer for counseling.
Okay. Now, what was the purpose of going to counseling, or what was your belief the purpose was?
I thought we were going to counseling, and I was absolutely very happy about it. It was a doctor he found because earlier on I wanted him to go to counseling with me, and he wouldn't have gone to anyone that I found or anything. So this was a doctor he found, and we went together in one car to La Jolla, and I thought we were finally going to honestly discuss what's going on in our marriage here.
And do you know who was that person that you went to?
Dr. Matthew Zedimer.
Okay. And when you went to Dr. Zedimer, what happened? Did you two of you go into counseling?
We went in and met the doctor, but then Dan was going to leave me there and leave because he was, you know, I was the one having the nervous breakdown. I was the one having trouble in life, and I wasn't going to be part of the discussion about my problem. And I said right in front of Dr. Zedimer that that's my problem. I mean, it's my problem with his affair or the affair I'm suspicious of with his office girl. So I can't really just discuss my problems with you without him here.
And did Dan indicate anything at that point, whether you were just crazy or not?
Well, he didn't need counseling and he didn't want counseling. There was nothing wrong in his life. I was the one having the problems. So I'm the only one who needed help.
At some point in time, did you have a discussion with Dan where he told you about Linda?
Dan himself, finally, yes, October 28th.
Okay. And what led up to that?
I'm not well, I had a phone call from Larry's wife, or I was talking to Larry, his brother's wife, and she informed me that Dan went to the annual Oktoberfest party in Denver and that he brought Linda Kolkena with him. I couldn't believe it. here he kept telling me, I can't control where she goes, if she goes to this party or that party. It's just a coincidence that she goes where I go, and it's all business. So I called him up and I said, I want to hear this. I want to hear this in person. I want to know how Linda Kolkena got on a plane and ended up at your brother's party in Denver. I really want to hear this explanation. So he came over, and I was like, come on, let's hear it. I want to hear the truth.
Did he try to take you anywhere that day?
Well, he told me the truth. He finally told me the truth.
Now, and what did he tell you?
All he wouldn't tell me any details or anything else. All he told me was I was right. I've been right all along.
And how did that make you feel?
Well, it kind of made me feel better that at least I knew the truth, but it made me feel like that he had taken really gross, unfair advantage of me for a long time, switching. Now I'm standing in this house that's empty. My kids are gone. I have no money. I have no control. I mean, it's a little late to be telling me the truth. And, and then I've got all this stuff going on in my mind about typical Dan Broderick, don't even begin negotiating until you're sitting on their chest, and knock someone to their knees. And I've been really badly used and abused by a liar for over 2 years. And I was very upset and very angry about it. And he wanted to take me to a mental institution. That was his answer to me getting upset.
Would you go with him?
Thank goodness, no. I wasn't dressed. I had been out that day at something, and I had a slip and a robe over it. I didn't have clothes on. And he tried pushing me he literally pushed me in the bedroom and tried to make me put clothes on, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't get dressed. Otherwise, he would have dragged me off.
And were you upset at that time?
I was absolutely furious because I felt he'd really lied and manipulated me out of houses and manipulated me out of the kids, and I just couldn't. I was very I don't even know the words for it. He had looked me in the eye and lied and lied and lied and lied a billion times and kept telling me, this isn't what's happening. This is what's happening.
Did at some point in time, I think I asked you some questions about somebody wearing your clothes, having your clothes. Do you remember approximately when that was?
I know it was at least the second, maybe the third babysitter, and the babysitters didn't start until September of that year. So no, I don't remember when it was. Maybe November.
It was in the fall of 1985.
Right. It was after October.
Okay. And was that after you learned that after Dan told you about Linda Kolkena?
Yes.
Okay. Now, after in the fall of 1985, after you learned about Linda Kolkena, did Dan ever tell you did he talk to you about divorce?
I have to re-ask that question. I don't know what you mean.
Sometime in 1985, in the fall of 1985, did you learn about Dan's intentions to get a divorce?
I received papers at my house.
Okay. And do you remember when that was? Do you have any idea of when that was?
It was in October sometime. I think it was before he came to my house and told me the truth, because I think I was hysterical about those papers, and that's why we were talking. And he came over, like maybe the same day or the day before.
No, I would just ask if I could mark if I could mark a large board next in order.
All right, double H.
And I'm going to have a series of boards that go on. I don't want it to be double H1, 2, 3, or just keep going.
Double H is just going to be a large poster board with
Yes.
Velcro fasteners.
Yes, Your Honor. It has 3 categories: legal documents, Betty, and Dan, and miscellaneous.
And then let's make them double H1, 2, et cetera. That's all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so that
Do you suppose he's going to rip all the innocent pictures off of this one too, like he did in his opening statement? Off his kid's science fair project? Meanie.
While we're on exhibits, so I don't forget, over the weekend, I would ask if I could withdraw the exhibit that was that mattress, so that it doesn't have to sit in the courtroom.
That was Exhibit B. I have no objection to that. I assume people have no objection. Yeah.
No objection.
All right, exhibit B is withdrawn.
I believe she admitted it, Puddletown. Not in a whiteboard like we would think about today. Little one. It was hilarious. It was just court pictures.
Your Honor, I put a number of items that on this board, and I placed in the category with Betty has already been mentioned as to with Kim left.
Your Honor, excuse me. I think that was already ruled on court.
You're talking about double H-1,
Yes.
and you've marked the items that we previously agreed on there.
Well, these are the items, Your Honor, that there's already been testimony on
All
as
right.
to when Kim left the house, when Danny was left the house.
All right.
And I just wanted to make a record that there's no strips as to legal documents or proceedings on this one.
All right, go ahead.
Your Honor, there's just a mark on April 6th, Kim left with father on April.
Your Honor, excuse me. I have no objection to those.
Oh, that's fine. I don't mind.
But to make the record clear, double H-1 represents a 6-month time frame, I believe. Could you tell me what that is?
That's a 6-month time frame from January 1st through June 30th, Your Honor, 1985.
Thank you, go ahead.
You don't need to make a record of this one.
All right. Just by way of housekeeping, while she's marking some other things, Mr. Early, I believe your exhibit G was the time period January to June 30th of 85. So do you want to withdraw G, or is that something different?
What, Your Honor?
I believe your exhibit G. You marked the G this year, that might be relabeled H-1.
I would.
All right, I assume there's no objection. All right, then expense G is relabeled H-1. H-1-1.
I think that's a big trouble.
Contempt of clerk.
Good night, Haley. Have a good
Your Honor,
weekend if I don't see you.
Which hasn't been previously marked. Dr. Mark had this marked as HH2. It's a 1985 July through December.
All right, so,
I may have a moment to show his attorney.
all right.
Linda got the power H. Oh my gosh. Puddle down. I got it. You didn't have to explain it. It's on the recording, little one.
In now, after you found out that that there was going to be that there was problems with the marriage, did you go over to the house and find a maid at that time with wearing your clothes?
Objection, Your Honor.
Well, overruled, you can answer again.
Did you find this after that time, someone wearing your clothes?
Yes, I believe that was the sequence of that, right?
And how did you feel about that?
Objection, Your Honor. Ask an answer.
Stand.
Did you find, and it was at that time you found someone, at least there was problems with your furniture?
Yes.
Did, in the, fall of 1985, is there any function that you normally attend?
Fall of 1985 was a particular function that year that I worked on the committee and I had to attend, yes.
And what function was that?
It was the annual ladies' luncheon at the Bishop's School where my daughter Lee was a student.
Okay. And who would be present at that luncheon?
Several hundred mothers and friends and all ladies. And it was outdoors and it was a fashion show and it was very nice.
Now, during the time that you were married to Dan Broderick, would he talk to you about his work?
Yes, all the time.
Okay. And what would he tell you about how, did he tell you what he would do in lawsuits to affect the opponent or the other side?
Yes, to humiliate people, yes. He told me about, should I tell you?
Yes.
About one time he had to serve or he needed to serve papers on a doctor. And he knew that the doctor was an important person in his church. And he purposely served the doctor on Christmas Eve in the front row of his church with the papers just for maximum humiliation and upset. And should I keep going?
Yes. What else did he tell you about the way he practiced, the way at least he was practicing law?
Just that, you play surprise and hardball. That was a very familiar term. And you do everything you can to make the person say uncle. Make the person give up. And you don't let up and you just pound at them.
Now, at some point in time, did you find out that he tried to serve the divorce papers at any particular place?
Yes, I found a handwritten note in his very distinctive handwriting that on the date of the bishop's luncheon, it said the date, and it said attempted service at the bishop's luncheon. And that was going to be the way he was going to serve me the very first papers of this entire divorce.
Okay.
And so it brought back all the memories of surprise and hardball, and it wasn't a nice thing to do.
Did you keep that note?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And at some point in time, did you give that note to anybody during your divorce trial?
I used it at the divorce trial as an illustration that this legal thing didn't.
Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive.
Stand.
Did you give it to Mr. Berry? At some point in time, did Mr. Berry get a hold of it?
At the divorce trial, yes.
And have you ever seen that note since then?
No.
The Now, did Dan ever talk to you about it? Was there any conversation about you being ill or sick?
Ever since 1983, those were the conversations, as I was delusional and I was paranoid and I was imagining things and I was having a nervous breakdown and my wheels were coming off and I was crazy and I was sick. Yes, when he had the children and I wasn't living with them, he'd always tell them, oh, your poor mother's sick. Your mother's sick.
And did you, now after you received the divorce papers, did you have contact? Did Dan contact you at any time in writing? On the birthday, did he contact you?
Yes, I received flowers with a card that said, I'm sorry you're not feeling well under the circumstances. Love, Dan. I think that's what it said.
And did you know where he was at that time?
No, I didn't.
Did, how did that card make you feel?
I was furious because it was just like the night that he finally told me the truth. It's not that I'm crazy or that I'm sick. I'm angry about things, and I'm feeling fine under the circumstances. I'm just angry about what he had done.
Did the,
But I'm not sick.
I would like a card marked.
So Mark,
showing you what's been marked II for identification. Do you recognize this card?
I haven't seen it in a long time. That's Dan's handwriting. No, certainly possible to have a happy birthday. Should I read it?
Just tell me if you recognize the card.
I hope you start to feel better soon. Love, Dan. That's the card. It has my birth date on it, 1985.
Were you physically sick during that period of time?
Not at all.
Now, during the, after you were served, told that there was going to be a divorce, did you contact anybody? Did you contact an attorney at some point in time in Los Angeles?
When I first got served with the divorce papers, that's the only thing I knew to do. I didn't know what else to do with them. So I started calling San Diego lawyers. It didn't occur to me to go to LA. I called about 8 lawyers right away, trying to hire a lawyer to defend myself. That's what said I was the defendant and he was the plaintiff, and I had to defend this action. And I needed a lawyer. And so I called all the lawyers, all the good divorce lawyers of reputation that I knew in San Diego County.
Were any of them willing to take the case?
No, and that one day, every single one of them said, absolutely no. It would have nothing to do with the case because they knew Dan so well.
Okay. And did you eventually go to Los Angeles for a lawyer?
Only because a local attorney,
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you eventually go to a Los Angeles lawyer?
I was referred to one by a San Diego attorney, yes.
Okay. And why did you go? Why was the reason that you went to a Los Angeles attorney?
Because the well-known San Diego attorney advised me to quit trying, that no one in this town is going to help you, that you have to go out of town. And as a personal favor to me, although I've never met the woman, as a personal favor to me, she arranged this appointment with Mr. Jaffe. And he did it as a favor to her
And where was Mr. Jaffe located?
in Los Angeles.
And did you reach an agreement with Mr. Jaffe?
He said he really didn't want to take the case. He didn't want to come to San Diego. It was inconvenient for him. He had more cases than he knew what to do with up there. But as a favor to this other attorney, he would try and represent me. And I signed an agreement. Should I keep going? I saw him the one day. I hired him. I signed the agreement. He told me not to worry.
Objection.
That's not a question.
Okay. What did he tell you? Did you talk to him about money and how he was going to get paid? You can answer that yes or no.
Yes.
And what did he tell you?
Objection. Hearsay.
No rules, you know.
He told me that he would need a $10,000 retainer, that his fees on my half of the case alone would be over $100,000, and that I should not sign anything. And he would get the money, the $10,000 retainer, from Dan, because I didn't have any money. And he would get it from Dan, and the court would decide later whose half of the money it actually came out of. But since Dan controlled all the money, he had to get it from Dan. And he said that was pretty usual, and I shouldn't worry about anything.
Now, at this period of time, you knew Dan's family. You knew he had a brother, Larry. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you know whether Dan or not had a retirement account at this time?
No. I mean, I knew in a very vague sense that he had a pension fund, is what he called it.
Okay. Did you know what was in the pension fund?
No idea.
Did you know whether he was transferring money from the pension fund in any time in 1985 to Larry?
No, I had no knowledge of the finances at all.
Okay. And did he ever talk to you prior to leaving in February of 1985 about giving large sums of money to Larry Broderick?
Yes.
Okay. What did he tell you?
That his brother Larry had all these investments in mind, condos and historical buildings and duplexes and gold futures and bull semen. I mean, all kinds of investments, because that's Larry's field, is investments, I guess. And so Dan gave Larry humongous sums of money to be partners in investments.
Okay. Now, was
Over
this
the
all
years we
in,
were married.
was this all in January of 1985, or was this over a period of time?
It was over a period of time.
Did you know what money had gone to Larry Broderick?
No.
Did you know whether your name was on any of that stuff?
Well, I assume since I never saw anything or never signed anything, that no, there's no way my name could have been on it. No, my name wasn't on anything.
Did you have control of any of those assets in 1985?
No.
Okay. Were you able to sell any of those assets to pay for whatever you wanted to, fixing the house, doing things in 1985?
I had no saleable assets at all. The car was even leased, so I couldn't even sell the car. And the house I was living in, the new house, was had no equity at all. So even if I sold it, I wouldn't make any money. And it was in Dan's name as well as mine, so I couldn't go off and sell the house. So no, I had nothing I could sell.
Um, what did Mr. Jaffe, to your knowledge, did you talk to him whether he requested the money from Dan Broderick? Did he tell you whether he requested it?
Yes, he did. He requested it. And it was not forthcoming
Okay.
for quite a while.
During any time that you were, when Mr. Jaffe was your attorney, did you ever learn that Mr. Broderick ever paid him any money?
No.
So there was no time where the retainer was paid for Mr. Jaffe to do it.
Objection, no one asked to answer.
Sustained.
Did Mr. Jaffe tell you anything about keeping notes or records of what was going on?
I'm not sure if it was Mr. Jaffe, but some attorney told me to start writing things down.
Okay. And in the fall of 1985, did you start keeping some kind of journal as to events that were transpiring?
Yes, it's just so I wouldn't forget. But when I started writing it in 85, I started writing things about what happened leading up to 85.
So were you writing things in the journal that were presently happening at that time?
Yes,
And were you also sometimes writing in the journal things that had happened in the past?
yes,
And did the journals have dates on them?
yes,
And so they would say that this goes from January of 85, just to pick a number, to October of 85.
Yes.
Now, would you only write things that happened in it, or were you expressing your feelings at times?
I was living all alone in the house, and I was very scared about things.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Were you writing things in the journal that, were you only writing things that had directly happened, or sometimes were you expressing your feelings?
I was talking to myself in it. I call it ranting and ravings. I had nobody else to talk to, so I'd yell at myself in it a lot. And then I'd put more, on this day this happened, on this day that happened. But a lot of it was narrative stuff.
Now, in 1985, at some point in time, were you able to spend the holidays, for instance, Thanksgiving, with the children?
No,
Were you able to spend Christmas with the children?
No.
Okay. Where did the children go in 1985?
Dan took them skiing with Linda Kolkena in Utah. And Brian Monahan and his girlfriend and his kids were along too.
Did you receive, while they were skiing while they were skiing that Christmas, did you receive any notes from Dan Broderick? Again,
Yes,
and what did you receive?
another floral arrangement with another card.
Now, had you ever, in your life, spent a Christmas holiday away from your family?
No, never sent me flowers before either.
Did you want to be with your family?
Absolutely.
Now, I would ask for another card to be marked,
Double J.
double J.
So marked.
Showing you what's been marked double J for identification. Have you seen this card before? Okay. Is that the card that you received during Christmas time?
Yes.
During the time that when you found that your clothes had been giving away and your furniture given away, did you get upset?
Objection, Your Honor. Yes.
Sustained.
Did you do anything at Mr. Broderick's home? And did you express your anger at the home of Coral Reef, your family?
I don't remember particularly on that particular one day. No, I don't remember that particular one day.
You remember being very angry.
For different reasons, yes.
During 1985, in the fall of 1985, had you gotten involved again in any kind of sports activities for your children?
Yes, I was coaching Rhett's soccer team.
And was there a purpose that you were coaching that team?
Yes, both boys wanted to play soccer, and you need a lot of parents to run the program. And if you want to get on a team, you have to volunteer to do something. So I volunteered to do that so that Rhett could get on a team. Danny wasn't on a team that season.
Now, when you coached that team in 1985, did it have any other, I mean, was that something you were planning to do if your children weren't going to play?
No, I did it so that Rhett could be on a soccer team. That was the only reason I did it.
That is something you don't hear every day. An old-timey dial tone.
Showing you a photograph that's been labeled KK for identification, Your Honor. It appears to be Betty Broderick with 9 children with named as stingers.
All right, so marked.
Showing you what's been marked KK for identification. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
Okay, and is that the soccer team that,
That's Rhett in the middle.
okay, so Rhett would be the third from the right, not counting yourself.
Right.
Okay. Now, during the time in 1985, was he in a league where there was practice days too?
Yes, the whole soccer season was a disaster. Rhett never got to play.
Was there a time that you went over to sometime in the fall of 1985 when you went over to pick up Rhett to play on a soccer game?
I had to pick him up on Saturdays. The babysitter was supposed to take him to practices on Wednesday, but she wouldn't do it. And then I had to pick him up on Saturdays, yes. And I called ahead. You want this particular Saturday?
Yes, if you could tell me about the particular Saturday.
It was well into the season. And again, the only reason I'm doing this is so Rhett can have a team. And on Wednesdays, the babysitter who lived very close to the field and did have a car to drive, for some reason, whether it was her own or Dan told her to, would not deliver Rhett to the field to practice or to play. So I was real upset about that. And then they wouldn't bring him to games on Saturday or anything. So there's one particular Saturday, I called and I said, "Are you ready? I'm going to come over and get you." And Kim told me that he had his little uniform on, which is in that picture. And he was indeed ready, and I would be there in the few minutes it took me to go up the hill and get him. I was on my way over. I hung up the phone, and I got in the car, and I went to go get him.
And when you got to the house, what happened?
There was absolutely nobody there. None of the children, no Dan, nothing. Nobody was there.
Did you find out where they went?
Not until much later. I went to a neighbor's house and said, "What happened? Where'd they go?" And she didn't know anything, and the car was gone, and they were all gone.
Were you upset?
Very. I mean, I called. They knew I was coming. It only took me a few minutes to get there. I felt that Dan purposely took the kids so that I couldn't get Rhett to the soccer game.
And did you do anything at the house that day?
Yes, it was my house, and I was in the house, and this is after I definitely knew about Linda. And the kids had been complaining about no food. That was a big thing, about no food. So I looked in the refrigerator, and there was no food. All that was in there was cheap champagne, not one speck of food. And so I got mad, and I took the bottle of cheap champagne, and I threw it through a window as a, "Thanks a lot, I've been here." But I had to leave. I had to run to the soccer game because I had to be there to run it.
Did you later have an argument with Mr. Broderick when you found out where he said that he had to take the children that morning? Do you know?
It was hard for me to have an argument with Mr. Broderick. He wouldn't talk to me.
Were you later told where Brett was when you came to pick him up?
He took him down to the Save-On drugstore in Pacific Beach for something.
There was a question of a Boston cream pie. Did you at some time throw a Boston cream pie?
I didn't throw it, no.
What did you do with it?
Smushed it.
And what what is a Boston cream pie?
I was at the house visiting the kids, and I was there for a while. And when I was leaving, a Boston cream pie is a cake. It's the size of a cake. It's 2 layers tall, and it's just like a cake. And they call it a pie because instead of frosting in the center is some sort of custard. And then it's got chocolate icing, but it's basically a cake. And it was on, should I keep going?
Yes.
It was on the counter as I was leaving. And I believe Marta was the babysitter then. And I said, it looked like a child made it. So I said, oh, who made the cake? And she said, Linda. And I said, Linda who? And she said, Linda at the office. And I said, oh.
Now, was that at a time when Dan was still denying that there was a relationship with Linda Kolkena, or do you remember?
It's all so close. It's in October there. I don't remember. I think he was still denying her. That's why I would have said Linda who. Anyway, I'm not done.
Okay.
When she turned her back or something, I took the cake and I smushed it around his bed on the bedspread and stuff.
Excuse
Nice
us,
Boston
Betty.
cream pie.
Dang.
Did you get
I got in trouble.
you got billed for the cleaning bill at some time?
I got in big trouble, and it was a typical Dan Broderick trouble. He billed me for so much more damage than any one little cake could have done. You know, it was a plaintiff attorney's complaint. He claimed I dirtied everything he ever owned and had to send it to the cleaners, and he billed me a huge amount. And he greatly.
Okay, he may have billed you a huge amount, but you gave him the ammo to bill you at all. Don't do things like that. You're like, I threw a bottle of cheap champagne through his window just to show him I was there, but I had to leave because I had soccer. Like, it was just another typical Saturday morning. We had some Cheerios and we watched some cartoons. I threw a bottle of champagne through the window, and then we went to soccer. What's the question? I was not. I don't know. I was not calling anybody. I wasn't calling Gabby Boston Cream Pie. That's my nickname for her. It's out, Gabby. The truth is out. You are my Boston Cream Pie. Don't tell Haley. My gosh. I get it. Me too, Ronnie. But how do you just nonchalantly say, I threw a bottle through his window and I had to go. So, bye. Oh, Puddle Town. I get it. But then when she's like, I made a mess, and he did the Dan Broderick stuff. Yeah, because you opened the door so he could. Like, don't do that. Aw, you little pumpkin pie. Well, duh. What do you think she? What else would you think she is? She coached soccer, for crying out loud. Disregard all the front of that. Except for the Cheerios and the Saturday morning cartoons.
Exaggerated what damage was done by the Boston cream pie.
But
he billed me for it, yes.
Now, sometime were you at sometime in 1985? Did you start getting some money, living money, from Dan Broderick?
Yes, again, we're still in October '85. He came to my house in La Jolla Shores, and he decided he was going to give me a budget. He wanted me to learn to be independent. And I said I didn't want to do it.
And what kind of budget? What did he do?
Well, he made out what I would need. He decided, because I had no idea what I would need. I've never paid any of the bills. And so he decided that if I had this much for this and this much for that, then I'd need this much for a month. And then at the bottom of the page, he said that he'd continue paying house insurance and taxes and car insurance and health insurance and all these other things, but he'd give me this much a month, and there would be $4,500 for the house payment and the gas and electric and the phone and the gardener and the travel and the food and the maid, and it came, in his estimation, $9,000 a month.
Now, before that, you'd been living on your credit cards?
Yes.
Now, after you learned that there was going to be a divorce and you were not going to be moving into the home at Calle de Cielo, did you, at some point in time, did you try to get the furniture from Mr. Broderick? Try to get some furniture back?
Well, in December, I got the letter that he would, no, I didn't, because we only had one set of furniture and the children were living in that house. And we only had one set of furniture, one dining room, one living room, one bed for each person. I didn't take any of that away from my children to bring into my house, no. My house was still a mess. It needed to be either torn down or repaired or moved out of.
Okay. Were you
I couldn't bring the kids to live there. There were no kitchen appliances. There was nothing. There was no cooktop. There was no refrigerator. There was nothing.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, did it become evident that you were going to have to do something with that home, do some repairs so that you could continue to live there?
Yes. On credit cards, I went to an appliance store and I bought every appliance for the kitchen. And so at least I could have food in a refrigerator and cook. And had to have a sink put in. I had to have countertops put in. And as long as you could cook in it, then you could sleep in it and eat. And I bought a bed and I bought towels and I had to buy everything. Salt and peppers and knives and forks and sheets, and because I didn't have anything.
And you were doing this on credit cards at that time?
Yes.
Okay. Was there new carpet in the house when you moved in?
No.
What was the carpet like?
There had been a fire in the living room in the carpet.
Did you eventually replace that when you learned that the house wasn't going to be torn down?
Right. In the beginning, when I did the credit cards and
No,
bought,
excuse me. Not Ms. Oates.
No. That's another question, Mr. Early.
What did you, do you remember when you finally replaced the carpet?
no,
Now, Mr. Broderick, did he eventually move out of the Coral Reef home?
yes, I got a letter. It might have been the one same letter that number one informed me that he was taking the children skiing over Christmas. And number two informed me that while he was gone, I had a chance to take what I wanted out of the garage because when he came back, he'd be moving. He was moving to that Marston Hills home that he bought. And I think it's all in one letter. Is it?
Did you go get some stuff out of the garage?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And that was the extra furniture that was in there?
And with things he didn't want. We had 2 love seats and a breakfast set with 4 chairs that he had washed the cushions in the washer and dryer, and it was 100% wool, and he ruined the love seats, and they were not usable as they were. So I took those, and then the breakfast seats were a mess. So I took those and I had them recovered. And I took a shelf system that he built when we were in medical school or something, and I took some things, but nothing for the living room.
Okay.
And I did take the dining room. Later, I got the dining room, but I didn't take it. He must have had it delivered by a truck or something.
Okay. Did you go into the house and take stuff out, or just take stuff out of the garage at that time?
Out of the garage.
Okay. Now, eventually, did he move out of the house in Coral Reef and move to?
Yes.
To
January, right when he came back from Christmas, I think.
Okay. Now, is that a house that that you and he had looked at before?
Yes. While we were together and there was no separation even, he brought home a picture of us, a beautiful house, and he wanted me to look at it because we were looking at gorgeous homes places. And so I went over there with the children one afternoon and I drove by it and I looked at it and but I didn't like the neighborhood it was in for the children. I didn't want to live over there. There was nobody for them to play with. It was not a family neighborhood. And these were suburban kids. We lived on streets where every house had children. And, there's all our facilities were in La Jolla and stuff. And it didn't seem like a safe neighborhood. A man was murdered in the canyon behind it the same week I looked at it. There's a big canyon with transients in it. And it was a high crime area. It was just not a family neighborhood.
Did you, did he move out of the Coral Reef home into the Cypress home?
Years later, yes. A long time later.
No, did he move out of in 1985, in January of 86, did he move out of Coral Reef and into Cypress?
Right, but that was a long time after I looked at the house.
Yes, okay. When he did that, did he leave things behind in Coral Reef?
I don't think so.
Okay. So the house was completely empty. He didn't leave any toys, any trampolines, anything at all at Coral Reef?
No, he had to have delivered that stuff to my house because I didn't have a truck and I'm not a moving man and I don't remember carrying it out.
Okay.
But at one point I ended up with our old dining room set and a garage full of humongous boxes of all the kids' books and toys and all their belongings and sporting equipment and their bicycles and the trampoline. I ended up with the trampoline. I ended up with all the kids, what he called junk. He didn't want it at his new house.
And who had custody of the children at that time?
There was no custody arrangement. They were physically living in Coral Reef because that was the only roof we had that they could be happy under and safe under. And then he got a restraining order in October of '85, and he used that as custody because if I couldn't get within 100 yards of the house where my kids were, I couldn't get to see my kids. So I didn't realize it until a long time later that that's what happened. He used the restraining order as a custody order. And that shouldn't have happened.
So at the beginning, when there was no custody order that you were aware of
No,
in 1985,
no.
were you kept away from seeing the kids by something? Or is
Yes, by this restraining order. I was very scared by it because I was defiant and I did go see the kids as much as I could, but I was very scared because he was threatening to every time I came within 100 yards of my own house to see my own kids that I was liable to be thrown in jail.
Through 1985 and through the first half of 1986, were you aware of any custody order where you were not allowed to see the kids?
In July of '86?
All the way through up until July of '86?
No, there was never a custody meeting. There was never an agreement. There was no child support meeting. There was no meeting on anything.
Was there, at that point in time, the restraining order, was that also included not to talk to Dan Broderick?
I don't believe so.
Were you ever served with a restraining order that forbid you to talk to your children that you were
No.
aware of?
No.
Okay. Did you try to, after he moved to the Cypress home in 1986, did you try to get some more of the furniture that he had?
Yes. After it became apparent that the furniture, or half of the furniture supposedly that he took, he had no interest in. He bought everything new in the Cypress home, decorator, perfect, much fancier.
Was there a time, if you can just answer yes or no, was there a time that you tried to get the furniture that he had at Coral Reef and had moved over to Cypress?
Yes.
And what was the reason that you tried to get that furniture?
Because apparently he didn't want it. And I could have used it because I didn't want to spend money buying new stuff. And he bought new stuff. And it was in his garage piled up. And he didn't want it, so I might as well be able to get it back. But he said, no, I couldn't have it.
Now, you had a budget at that time, did you not?
The $9,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you have, any time when he wrote out the budget, did he include money in that to rebuild the house on
No,
Kellogg?
my budget was clothes and food and rent and stuff, but there was no budget for lawyers or for remodeling or repairing a house or for refurnishing a house and buying towels and everything new. It was just a monthly budget that you'd use every month, but there was no provision in it for all these extraordinary things I had to invest in. Mainly the house and legal fees.
So there was no time where he gave a budget and gave you anything for legal fees?
Never.
Did you come to learn sometime in December, January of 1985 and 75, January of 86, that he wanted to sell Coral Reef?
Yes.
And did you sell that home?
No, not at that time.
And why not?
Because it was the one asset in the whole world that had my name on half. So I knew he could cheat me out of anything else, but I didn't think he could cheat me out of that because my name was on half. And we are in a split up now, and we are in the process of a divorce. And I figured it was a bargaining table. And, I've got what I've got, and you've got what you've got, and we're going to talk about switching and stuff. And that was the only thing on my side of the bargaining table was half of that house. And I didn't want to give it up until I knew what I was trading it for.
Now, there was some testimony about that house being a depreciating asset. In other words, that house in La Jolla was going to, if it wasn't sold, was going to be going down in value. You're going to be losing money. Do you remember a conversation about that? I don't
think I was part of that conversation. I think that's what he told Mr. Jaffe at that time. No, the house could have been rented for about 3 times what it cost to keep it going. It would have been a great investment to keep.
Now, at the time that they were talking to you about depreciating assets, did they talk about selling, for instance, a duplex in Dillon that was losing about twice its value a year?
No, there was no discussion of selling anything else, just that.
Did they talk to you about selling a historical building that was
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered. Said there was no discussion of anything else.
Stand.
Your Honor, perhaps you can question or disagree.
All right. Well, there's no disagreement. I haven't asked a question, Your Honor.
Go ahead, ask a question.
I'd like to show you a document to see if this refreshes your recollection as to any of these assets, as to whether there was talk about any of these being depreciated.
Objection, Your Honor, she's answered the question.
Well, you can see the refresh.
About what, Your Honor? She didn't indicate that she had no recollection. She said no, there was no discussion.
I'm just gonna show her, and if she says there was no discussion, that's fine.
Go ahead.
Just read it.
Don't you magic 8 ball, nibby, 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 magic 8 ball, 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 AJ, me, Gabby. We're almost done. Minute and a half. Hang in there. Haha, someone coughed and said, bullshit, while coughing to cover it. I liked how she's like objecting and he's just like, but Your Honor, there's nothing in here as he's flipping through all the pages. Well, do you know what's in there, sir? Well, don't die. Don't unalive. Whatever. Don't do it.
These to yourself. There was no discussion about those in file.
I did not hear it. I was too busy
Can I answer?
reading Magic 8 Ball.
Yes, was there any discussion about those at that time?
My name didn't appear on any of these properties, so he wouldn't have had to discuss anything that he did with them with me. There was no mention. I didn't even know about half of these things.
At that time, did anyone sit down and give you a list of family-owned assets and ask you whether you wanted to sell any of them or not, or what you wanted to do with them?
No.
What's up, Brie? Well, we're almost done. What's up, thugs? Want some
So I'm
hugs?
gonna go into a whole new area here.
Okay, recess for the day?
Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take
Ladies and gentlemen, Betty's going back to the cell. What's up, Brandon? I've been trying to watch numbers that I don't know what mean for you. Bree, gang, magic 8 ball side. Your kidnappers are here. Wait, we wondered We wondered who this Brie was. She's a little trickster with that dog. Whose dog is that? Betty's going back to the clink. I hope she watches out for the Dementors. Betty going back to reminisce on how much Linda took from her. Everything. Her looks, her thinness, her golden blonde hair, which is now yellow. Her smile, furniture, and her clothes. Her house, her cars. But she got to keep the rats. That's all I know. She'll be fine. They got whippets in there. All right, programming note. Monday. Get away, Betty. Oh, wow. It's working again. Good for you, StreamYard. She actually acquired a couple of rats. Programming note. Monday is my husband's birthday. I can't help it that Bill's birthday and his birthday are a week apart. It's also my Great Dane Hank's birthday. He won't be joining us, but the rest of us are going out for my husband's birthday on Monday. I will not be here. I also will not pre-record a video and put it up because of what happened when I did that this past Monday when it was Dill's birthday. There will be no confusion. I won't be here. So it will be no confusion. Although I did pop into chat and as myself, and then Puddletown thought maybe it was Carmen pretending to be me. And then I said that he was onto something. So then I did make him think it was Carmen. It was not Carmen. Whose dog is that? You threw me. I don't like that. Thanks, Jenny. Yes, they have the same birthday, and that's how he knew Hank was meant to be in our home. Hank, for a Great Dane, is going to be 10, so it's a big birthday for him. I will not tell you how old my husband will be. Happy pre-birthdays. Thank you, Tracy. I don't know what next Friday is. What's next Friday? Someone coming into town? Hank, what a great pup. Yep, until about 3:45 in the morning. Then I don't think he's so great. Yes, we are celebrating together, and you've yet to tell me whose dog that is. You sent me a text? I don't have any text. Oh, now I do. That still doesn't tell me whose dog that is. Is it just a meme dog? Man, I thought you were Brian's. I thought you were like Brian's coworker. One of these days, I'm going to get you back. And now you're being called a liar and not to be trusted. You had no part in this. What? Oh, yeah. You did not have any part. She knew, but she announced it that I was pre-recording it. Hey, if Brand Lesko is not in Discord, which he said he would be, and he is not, then he doesn't know. And he would have known. But he was late to the video, or he would have heard it when I said it at the beginning that I was pre-recording that video. Yes, Adair's response was funny, and they've never let me live it down. Oh, Puddletown. Speaking of tiny gel cell nipples with a side of conjugal finger banging for you, that bish. Sorry, I didn't see your tiny cat nipple comment yesterday in time to end the stream with it. I was watching StreamYard trying to end with everything, and when I looked back over on YouTube, I saw that had gotten held, and so my apologies for not seeing it because it was funny. And then I laughed, and then I was laughing by myself. Next Friday is the last day of week until vacation starts. Make Hank some peanut butter and egg cookies. He would love me for anything I gave him to eat. The dog does nothing but think about eating, sleeping until he can eat again, and repeating the cycle. I've never seen a dog that thinks so much about food, ever. Literally can set the clock to him. Yes, thank you. Because your dog Morgan. See, I think it did. I wasn't home. I'm never gonna do that again. Well, I guess he's mad at me because I told him I wasn't drinking tonight and he left. I guess, I don't know. I will never, after I read this, I will never say the words finger banging again. See you, Ronnie. Have a great day and evening as well. I know, and I didn't see it and I felt bad. Yeah, my other Dane she has to have one teeny tiny piece of ice out of the freezer. When she hears it clinking into the glass, she runs and stands right by there. You just kind of toss it to her and she's like, that's the best thing ever. I'm like, the best thing that tastes like nothing. Enjoy. What? I like the way she said it, though. If I was there, I would show her how to really say it correctly. And she said it, I don't know, very Wonder Bread like, you know what I mean? Huh. Well, sorry. All right, let's go, Carmen and Brandon. Let's go. See you bright and early, Bree. Should have made a finger banging super chat. Love you too, Grandma. And also, your typo from last night was hilarious because it was so innocent. And I don't even remember what the typo was, except it just made me laugh. It was so funny. So, all right. Well, with that, that's it. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Oh yeah. That's what Gabby said. I was like, Grandma had the funniest typo last night. And then she said, oh, Grandma knew what she was doing. I don't care if she knew what she was doing or not. It was hilarious. Because it just was like out of left field. And funny. Yeah, I know what I said. I know what I said. Not calling anybody that. That is the day of the week. I will see you next time. Dang, that still works. It is. You got it. It's got to come out somewhere. I mean, I knew. I had even gone over this in my head. Like, I can't. If I say see you next Tuesday, you guys are going to be like, duh. But then when I said see you next time, it's the same thing. See, Rue even agrees. I shall spy with my little eye all of you beautiful people in the chat. And what's up, Wow? And it shall be around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't say that word. I hear it enough in just general conversations nowadays. I don't care. But I just know I just knew the chat, and I was trying to figure out a way around saying it. And I didn't. I failed twice. June 16th is on Monday. I will not be here. I will be here on June 17th. That's the day. I'm leaving it at that. I shall put Sunday is Mr. Gabby's birthday. Fell down. Look at our husbands being born one day apart in probably several years. We won't talk about that part. Lots of birthdays this month. My brother's is the 30th. Don't worry, I will not miss for that one. See, Grandma's house. June 16th is your daughter's 30th birthday. Wow. The 20th is your son. See, all the birthdays. We should have just had a big birthday party. Dang it. My birthday's next month, though. Madison's is the 27th. So we got birthdays. Dill's was the 9th. No, wow. Don't think that counts as a party unless you're getting some laughing gas, whatever they call it. Then maybe be a party for a minute or two. Beginning of the month or last of the month? Are you a Leo? Or what is it, a Cancer? I'm a Leo. That's why I'm stubborn. At least that's my story. I'm sticking to it. It's not just because I'm stubborn. I wouldn't be stubborn if I wasn't a Leo. Right? Okay. So next week on the 17th will be part 3 of direct examination of this said Betty. And she's something. Taking your kids to the dentist together is purgatory. Everyone can guess what you are. You're Halloween baby. I don't know what that means. I don't know I can't just go through I don't know. That's right. That means she's special. I'm a Taurus, which everyone always dislikes. Hey, we are good people. We just do everything our way. Hence, while I did not know this, Carmen, but apparently Dad and Cheyenne had a conversation about how much you and I are alike. I'm like, Carmen and I are alike? Never have seen it. Not in the same way like he and Brandon are alike or he and Bree are alike. You and I are just two individual people happen to get along. That's all. Alrighty. Wow, Bree just told me to go to bed. Rude. Because she's not going to bed and she has to be up earlier than me to get ready. Wait, why is Grandma doing that? Wait, what's happening? She forgot I had the power. I did it for you, Grandma. Gabby, you can't leave Grandma hanging like that. Alrighty, guys. Have a great weekend. If you're a father celebrating, if you're a father celebrating Father's Day, or have a father that you're celebrating Father's Day with, or just thinking of a father Father's Day, you're just approving her comment. Hey, it's 8:30. It's late for me. A little while, let's be honest. But have a good Father's Day, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with. And be good. Like, don't do dumb stuff. I only have enough bail money for Gabby because I already promised it to her. And it's not that much. Probably won't get her out of Canton. Don't go to Canton, Gabby. That's the end of my PSA. Puddletown, you didn't. You didn't. I thought we were friends.